So it has been a while since we spoke about Illuminati here on the Markie channel, and that's for a few reasons. But the main reason was, when this Illuminati situation was kind of first happening and everyone was speaking about it, I uploaded a gazillion videos talking about it. And I realised I have overdone some topics in the past, but I was really taking the piss at that point, and I just couldn't bring myself to talk about Blair or Illuminati again. I needed a break. And luckily for me, there was a bunch of TikTokers doing some stupid shit, so I could speak about that instead. But it has been, I think, like a couple of months since we spoke about Blair, and we actually do have a few updates. And the main thing I wanted to talk about today was Cruel World Happy Mind's new video, also known as Madison. Now, if you remember, in one of my like 52 videos on Blair, we had spoke about the situation with Blair and Madison that happened a few years ago, where Blair basically copied one of Madison's videos pretty badly. And by badly, I mean she just kind of reiterated the exact same points, didn't really change much, and it was just blatant copying. And when Madison was made aware of this, she actually contacted Blair privately just to kind of say, hey, look, I've seen this video, someone told me about it, and it does seem like you may have kind of like copied some of my points. Like, do you have like an explanation? And we will hear more of our conversation in just a second, but Madison was being very nice throughout all of this. She was just asking, like, how come your video is very similar to mine? Like, you didn't give me credit, like, what's going on here? And Blair, instead of saying, oh, my bad, look, maybe I did take some points and I didn't really change enough, and instead taking inspiration, it might seem like I've copied to you, she instead decided to ignore Madison and just bash her publicly on tweet, podcast, and threaten a bunch of videos. Now, obviously in 2023, that doesn't seem too shocking because we've heard a lot about Blair recently. That does sound like something that she would do, but back then, everyone loved Blair. Everyone loved Blair's videos, and this just seemed a bit odd compared to the Blair that people thought they knew back then. Now, I won't go into too many details of that specific situation just yet, because in Madison's video, she goes into a lot more details that we can look in just a second, but Madison has actually uploaded a video called The Fall of Illuminati, YouTube's Biggest Bully. And it's 2 hours and 33 minutes long, so I don't think it'll be a surprise to anybody that I'm not going to talk about every single point that Madison brought up in this video, but the bit I did kind of want to focus on is this last section. If we look at the chapters here, she's got one called My Story, which is talking about that situation we just spoke about. These other chapters are definitely worth watching, so even though I'm not talking about them in today's video, you should definitely go and watch it. This is a very detailed, high quality video talking about pretty much everything to do with Blair in this situation. But yeah, let's go through the part where Madison talks about her story, and I want to give some of my opinions on what's happened here. So this section starts off with Madison explaining that she didn't just come across Blair's video and was like, oh, you're copying me. People were coming to her own viewers were coming to her and being like, okay, we've seen this video by Illuminati, it's very similar to yours. As we can see by this comment that was left on the video at the time saying, notice that Illuminati uploaded a similar video today or a couple of days ago, and I haven't watched it but glanced over their sources and I feel it's oddly similar to your content. Now, one thing you will notice here is that Illuminati's name has been blurred out, and that's because this is from Madison's video a few years ago where she didn't want to mention Blair's name. She didn't want to kind of bash Blair and mention her name and put her on blast. She just spoke about the situation and kept it anonymous, which is very nice when you bear in mind what's actually happened here, but yeah, Blair didn't take it as nice in the slightest. And after Madison saw these comments, she thought it'd be right to message Blair privately, which is a good thing to do, right? Instead of just tweeting it out publicly and bashing her, get an explanation, see what's actually happening here, have a private conversation like actual adults. And this is the message that she sent Blair, and by the way, it's very nice when you bear everything in mind.
Hey hun, sorry I had to. It's an inside joke for anti-MLMers, so I thought that would be like a funny opener. I don't know if you know of my channel. I'm a really small YouTuber who's been inspired by the content you make. I got a few messages about the video you posted about Tyra's MLM because I've done a video on that topic. I'm really happy you're spreading more awareness on this topic, but it did low-key feel like a lot of what was said in the beginning of the video was really similar to the things I discussed regarding Tyra's MLM and her controversies, the rabies bit, etc. Coincidences happen, and I'm sure as a larger YouTuber, you're accused of stealing content from people you've never even heard of or seen before. So I get it if this message comes across that way. With the intention of just being open and honest, I was really hurt by the video though, because you're someone who has really inspired me and the content I make, so I wanted to reach out and hopefully have an honest but positive discussion on it all. Either way, I still appreciate the work you do.
Well, spoiler alert, honest and positive definitely aren't the words that I would use to describe what Blair did next. And Madison actually goes on to explain at this point when this situation is happening, she's pregnant and she's not having a good pregnancy by any means. She had to go to the ER because she was losing fluids and she was just incredibly worried about losing her child. It wasn't a good pregnancy. Now, I can't sit here and say I know what that feels like, obviously, but even I understand that that is a moment in your life where you should not be having any stress. You shouldn't have to deal with any stress, and as Madison mentioned in her video, this was the most stressful situation she could imagine. And it even goes on to say that Blair knew that Madison was pregnant throughout all of this, but she didn't care.
Blair put me through all of this. You knew I was pregnant, and you still attacked me online. You said mean and hurtful things about me. You did not care if your followers attacked me, what stress that would cause me.
Yeah, I can't even begin to imagine how horrible this situation must have been, because when we go on to mention what Blair did at this point, you can see it would be stressful at the best of times.
She also made an Instagram story post referencing me in a subtweety way that was so bold that people absolutely knew it was about me. She urged her followers not to follow me and claimed I was subbotting. People knew she was talking about me, and there was no hiding the passive aggressiveness.
I mean, what a horrible thing to do, right? Posting a story, telling your viewers not to watch this person, even though you do similar content, so your viewers probably would enjoy Madison's videos, but you see it as competition, so you don't want them to watch her. And then to go on and lie about this whole subbotting situation, which we will actually discuss more towards the end of the video, because the whole subbotting allegations kind of cause a different situation, so yeah, we will get to that. But Blair wasn't done there. She wasn't just subtweeting about Madison, she wasn't now just posting stories about Madison, she also went on podcasts to just slate Madison.
So she messages me and she goes, I'm just really disappointed because you're someone I look up to and you copied my video and I want credit.
That is definitely not the tone that Madison used in that message at all, is it? I don't know if Blair just thought that no one was ever going to see this message, but the message was really fucking nice. It didn't come across like that at all.
I try and keep it vague so I don't mention this person's channel, but it's a very small YouTuber.
I know I pointed this out in one of my previous videos when I first saw this clip, but the way she goes, a very small YouTuber, like how condescending is that? Just one of them pathetic small YouTubers, you know? She doesn't even have a silver plaque.
She even admitted, well, kind of, that she was restructuring her channel to kind of mock my own channel.
I'm good on that one.
Yeah, where did that even come from? Because we've seen the message and I don't really get where she got that from. I feel like the only part of that message that she could have got that information from, which still makes zero sense, is the fact that Madison said that she's inspired by Blair. It was someone that she watched, and she's now clutching at straws. Yeah, I don't get it.
But she had like 5 sources. You know, one was Wikipedia, one was BuzzFeed, one was like TMZ or something.
In certain instances, I will source TMZ and Wikipedia.
Absolute most offensive thing that was said on this podcast was that the research that I do for my videos is just Wikipedia, BuzzFeed, and TMZ. After hearing this, I was so confused that I looked through every single video that I've done to be like, okay, first off, have I ever used TMZ as a source?
So yeah, now she's just blatantly lying, saying that all Madison does is just reference Wikipedia and BuzzFeed and TMZ, because like they're the least reputable sites, so she thought that'd be like a big got you moment. But Madison actually goes on to explain that the only time she actually really referenced Wikipedia was when she gave like a brief description of the company she's talking about. So she would take like the first couple lines of a Wikipedia page just to give a good description of what the company is, and then she would use other websites to reference from. And she also explains that she never used TMZ at all. That was quite literally just grabbed from thin air. Now at this point, Madison tries to message Blair again because Blair didn't respond to her initial message, clearly saw it because she's talking about it everywhere, but Madison still thought it would be better to talk about this privately, which you've got to commend her for, really. Like, I think most people would probably lose the rag a bit at this point and just kind of go publicly since Blair is. But yet again, we got quite a nice message that was just trying to solve the issue.
Last time reaching out to you, sorry if my DMs have been annoying. I just feel like there's been a misunderstanding and didn't realize how offended you were by my message until someone sent me the podcast where you mentioned me. I understand how you'd be frustrated by my DM, but I didn't intend for it to come across in a harsh way. Why was I being nice and understanding to someone who never treated me nice at all? I don't understand.
Yeah, I feel like the answer to that question, obviously I don't know because I'm not Madison, but I can only imagine the answer would be everyone had respect for Blair at this point. Everyone enjoyed Blair's videos. She wasn't seen in the same light that she is now. So obviously if this situation was now, you probably wouldn't respond all nicely and be like, oh, try and give her the benefit of the doubt. I don't think she's trying to be malicious, because now we know other information. But at the time, no one really knew anything. And also, Madison mentions a few times in this video that she used to watch Blair. It was someone that she enjoyed the videos from. Obviously, she was probably going to try and give her the benefit of the doubt when she probably didn't deserve it. Now, at this point, Madison is done trying to contact Blair privately because she doesn't receive any replies, and she decides that the thing that she has to do now is release a public video just defending her name. She doesn't use Illuminati's name in the video, she's literally just defending the claims against her, which she has every right to do. Now, I've made a full video talking about Madison's response to Blair, so if you do want to see like a full in-depth kind of analysis, is that a word? God, I feel like I'm doing some fucking detective work here. I'm quite literally just rehashing drama. Like, Callum, you're not that fucking smart. But if you do want to see my reaction to it, there is a video over there. But yeah, Madison releases the video defending herself, doesn't mention Blair by name, she's just defending the accusations against her, and then Blair goes on to start tweeting a bunch of stuff, saying she's going to do a debunk live stream where she goes through Madison's video and tears it apart on live streams, and then also later on goes on to threaten that she's going to make like another few videos on Madison. So here we can see one of the tweets from Blair where she says, I really love doing debunk streams. This is quite literally just a live stream of her reacting to Madison's video and probably just gonna like call her a bunch of shit. I mean, who would be surprised? And also at this time, you've got to remember that Blair is a massive channel compared to Madison, and all of Blair's viewers like respect her at this point, right? There's no dramas, she hasn't been exposed for all the other stuff that we know now. This is when Blair's reputation was really good, and you can only imagine a YouTuber being so much bigger than you, doing similar content, so you have a very similar audience, kind of saying that she's going to do this debunk stream, must be pretty daunting. And yet again, you've also got to bear in mind that Madison is pregnant at this point and going through a very rough pregnancy where she's having to go to the ER and whatnot. Like, this just sounds like a fucking horrible, horrible situation.
I never wanted to go public in the first place. I tried to keep this private as much as possible because I really couldn't afford this amount of stress, and it's just snowballing and getting worse and worse. More and more people are getting involved. The comments are snowballing. By the time I had posted my video, I had already publicly posted that I was pregnant. And I want to say at this time, I was just past my first trimester. So it was already common knowledge that I was pregnant. Blair knew that I was pregnant, and in the early stages of pregnancy, it's just kind of a bad look.
Yeah, I mean, a really confusing part of this whole situation for me is the fact that it could have genuinely been solved instantly. Blair got sent a private message, they could have just had a private conversation about it, she could have just said, yeah, I fucked up, I'm sorry, and the situation's done, nothing bad happens. But because Blair's ego was so hurt that she got caught copying a YouTube video, which in the grand scheme of things, isn't that big of a deal. We're talking about like pregnancy and whatnot in this video. The whole copying a YouTube video thing, it's not that big of a deal, it's just a bit annoying. She could have easily solved it by apologising. But instead of doing that, she ignored the message and went on podcasts and tweeted and posted Instagram stories and whatnot about Madison, and it's so baffling. It could have been solved. Now at this point, Blair and Madison started having a bit of a conversation, but the way Blair talks in this is so bizarre. Like, she's basically threatening the fact of, if you don't delete your video, I'm going to make loads of videos on you.
So, I'm going to be defending my statements against your claims publicly. There were no identifying characteristics that it was you. You are the one who decided to say, that was me, when nothing said it was about you.
Sorry, I love this whole, when nothing said it was about you, when you've just described a whole situation where everyone thought it was so obvious that it was about Madison. Because you use very specific examples, when people know that you've been caught copying someone's video, and now you're talking about the fact that someone thought you were copying a video, who else was going to be about? Like, yeah, you don't have to say the name to make it very obvious who you're talking about.
I'm not 100% what to even talk out with you, since you've decided to make this a public issue.
How did she make this a public issue? Like, I feel like Blair could never just look at a very obvious situation that clearly shows that she's in the wrong here and realise that she's in the wrong. Madison messaged her privately, and then she went on to talk about the conversation publicly. That's clearly you making it a public situation.
And she's saying, is there some common ground we can find in all of this? Basically alluding to the fact that if you do something, then I'm not going to make these videos. As all of you guys have guessed, of course, her holding that over my head that she's going to come out with a live stream unless I delete my video.
And Madison did delete her video. So she was kind of just threatened into deleting the video, which is really fucking sad.
She responds, okay, and I would definitely like some answers too. And I have many questions, as you do. If we can work things out privately, I will not go forward with my stream and subsequent videos.
Yeah, I mean, I remember reading this message in one of my previous 52 videos about Blair, but the way she words this is so fucking weird. She's like, alright, if we can solve this privately, I won't do my live stream and many videos just bashing you, so I reckon we should probably solve it privately. Don't you? It's just such a slimy way of talking about this situation, is it not? Now, they did end up agreeing to, like, no longer speak about each other. They had, like, a long conversation on a call for 3 hours, I believe, and it seemed to be left in a very positive note, and Blair was even saying that, oh, her and Madison can be friends now and all this stuff, but Blair actually ended up just ignoring Madison a few days later, and Madison kind of gives her thoughts on this in hindsight.
I think all it was her trying to further her agenda of me deleting that section of my video. That's all she wanted. She didn't care about the greater good. She didn't care about being friends with me, definitely. She didn't care about the message behind our content or our values or any of that. That 3-hour conversation was complete bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously wasn't involved in the single slightest, but just from an outsider looking in, I feel like that's a pretty fair assessment. But at this point in the video, we kind of go back to the whole sub-botting allegations, right? So Blair started claiming that Madison had been sub-botting, and this kind of just came out from nowhere. But when confronted about this, now that they're friends and they can actually have a conversation, Blair says that she found out this information from just some random article.
There was the website with the article about me, which, how did you come across this website with this article about me? That's suspicious. How did you find this? Either you're doing way too much research on me, which is creepy, or you have something to do with this article of me existing on this website.
Oh, look, if she was talking about anybody else, I would say, okay, maybe you're clutching at straws here. There's no way she had anything to do with the article. That's insane, right? But we're talking about Blair, who literally set up this whole fake persona of, like, a hater to hate on some of her old friends on, like, Twitter and Reddit and stuff, so who fucking knows?
She also said that from my Instagram, she could tell exactly where I lived. And she told me what specific Instagram posts of mine I should take down if I don't want people to find out where I lived, which she tried to make seem helpful, but had a threatening, scary undertone to it.
Yeah, that is a bit of an odd thing to do. I guess you could give the benefit of the doubt that she was just trying to help out, until you hear the next part of the story. Because after telling Madison that people might be able to find out what area she lives in by some of her pictures, Blair then goes on to tell everybody what area she lives in.
After our phone call, Blair literally tweets about us both living in Colorado and living near each other, and how after this phone call we're besties and we're gonna meet up for coffee, and goes on a live stream and talks about the fact that I live in Colorado.
One thing that happened in addition to this was she did a Twitch stream.
We both found out we both live in Colorado and we live like an hour away from each other.
So yeah, she was being extra kind apparently, and telling Madison that if she has some of these pictures up on Instagram, people might find out where she lives. They might find out she lives in Colorado. So after Madison tries to take that advice, she then goes onto a live stream and tells people where she lives. It just doesn't make any sense, does it? Like, either it was malicious or she's just a bit stupid. But yeah, either way, Madison actually ends off this video kind of giving just a conclusion on it all and kind of like says her opinions on it now in hindsight.
But I think her trying to be my friend, saying she realized the errors of her ways and messaging me in a friendly way was 100% an act. Because a few days after it worked and I had deleted everything, she stopped messaging me completely and went on acting like I never existed. And I think the reason why is she never anticipated that Tipster and other people were going to screen record my video. So thank you. I think she thought she was going to get away with it all and that the entire controversy was going to be deleted forever.
So yeah, there you have it. This was just a bit of an update on a situation we already spoke about, right? We already knew that Blair and Madison had a situation, but we didn't know how much detail went into it. And yeah, it sounds like a fucking horrible situation. Like, I wasn't aware of this whole pregnancy thing. I think I was aware that Madison was pregnant at the time when I made my original video, but I definitely wasn't aware about like how bad the pregnancy was going, with like going to the ER and whatnot. And I can only imagine how horrible and how stressful this must have all been. But yeah, since my last video on Blair, she is still just uploading pretty much like most days at this point. Her views have dropped massively, I noticed. I think I went on her channel earlier and she was getting like 30, 40, 50,000 views. I believe she was getting like a few 100,000 before. But yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see if anything else happens with this situation. And yeah, I'm gonna leave the video there. Like I said at the beginning of the video, if you do want to hear a lot more details on the Blair situation in general, I would highly recommend Cruel World Happy Minds video. It's Madison's video. It's 2.5 hours long, and it's going through everything. Way more detail than I ever could in like a 15-minute video. And yeah, also, let me know your thoughts on everything we spoke about. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe, all that stuff. And until the next one, I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, goodbye.